You want more?
Mhm.
A little more?
Okay.
I'm starting up the YouTube link right now. Okay. That seems to be working okay. So,
How many people we got? 9.
here, set this off to. Okay. Let's see what it is. Last minute messages here. Okay.
Your Manhattan ready?
That's good. Are you on mute?
No,
I can hear you.
I hope so.
Okay.
I hear something like that.
Okay, I just got a memo from Judy Marsh, so I can give you some updates on that too. Put that.
Welcome to Verizon Wireless. Your call can. Okay. Well, let's see. Get rid of some of this junk now. We have good turnout tonight. Today, I think. Let's see. Debbie should be joining us. I hope.
He's here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I didn't have everybody up yet. Okay. Good. We had quite a few interesting things happen this week. Had the gym updated with some new equipment. I'll tell you a little about that in a minute. Then they shut down the Grove for updating the carpet with putting some, I guess, Scotch Guard kind of protection on it for a while. So that we got it back in there for Thursday dinner, and nobody even noticed a difference. So, and then of course we had the birthday show, which was it's kind of nostalgic to hear all that old music from the 50s and 60s. I don't know if you people remember that, but I remember in high school dancing to a lot of that stuff, or learning how to dance, I should say.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's why we booked them, because that's the kind of music they did.
That's right. Yeah, that's something we can appreciate. I guess it goes right back. So, let's see. I have. I see Lou is there. He joined us today too. Hi, Lou.
Yeah.
How's
Hi,
everything
Lou.
going back east?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's about 94 today.
Oh. We
Uh,
don't envy you.
I sent a copy to Lucia Dean also, but I don't think she's joined us yet. Maybe she's lurking in the YouTube video. I'm not sure, but she wanted to keep up with us, what was going on. I think I talked to her a little bit on the telephone, and she said she likes us at her places, but there's no kitchens in her new room. I guess they got to rely on their getting the eats down in the central areas. So I guess it's you don't want to cook
Lou.
anyhow. So no.
Lou, have you had those big fires? I've been reading all about these big fires down there.
No, they're
No,
not.
we're about 500-600 miles from that.
Well, that's good. I'm
That's
glad
up
to hear it.
north. I'm on the southern tip of New Mexico.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, I hear they're starting to get some of those fires put out finally, so that's good. So, okay. I got Debbie's memo, and I'll go over some of the highlights, and then Debbie can comment on it as she please. The big one was we have achieved 14 consecutive days of no positive COVID cases. So we're clear and free. No more testing for a while.
Oh,
But we got to keep our noses clean.
Right. That's right. Hopefully nothing over the weekend, and we'll just, again, the best way to avoid it is wear your mask when you're outside of your apartment and wash your hands.
Yeah, and if you're not sure where you stand, you can always get a free test, I think, at the front desk to see if something's happening or whatever, or you got exposed and you want to find out what's going on.
Keep in mind, too, it's important to know, if you're symptomatic and you test negative on a rapid test, we're still going to have you do a PCR because the rapid test isn't as sensitive. And if you are symptomatic, we're going to ask you to do the PCR test.
Yeah, right. And there's a new kind of flu going around now. It's called monkey flu. And I don't know much about it.
Monkeypox.
Monkeypox.
Monkeypox, yeah, monkeypox.
We are
Related to smallpox.
It's related to smallpox, yeah. And it blisters and other kinds of stuff, and I don't know much about it, but I guess they discovered 1 or 2 cases in California already. So I don't know if they're going to come out with any public health warnings about what you should do or anything like that. But God, we keep getting all kinds of bad news on top of the other things. So,
Well, monkeypox, it can only be spread through secretions, bodily secretions. So that's good news. So again, wash your hands if you are in contact with anyone you don't know.
yeah.
That's right. It's
The
best
other
to
thing-
avoid sex with a male partner if you're a male. I think that's the way it works. But you can still catch it from somebody else, evidently.
Oh, well, okay. Also in the memo, it mentioned that the services letter, Appendix A, is going to be redistributed because guest meals and accommodations won't have the taxes applied to them.
We haven't done it in the past, so we're not going to start now. Yeah, and just if I can make another note regarding COVID, we've learned, and it's interesting news. So I don't think, very few people have taken Paxlovid, the antiviral that is prescribed in the first 5 days that you are diagnosed with COVID to try to mitigate the symptoms. You can get rebound symptoms when that course is done, and you can test positive again. So that's kind of a drawback of Paxlovid. You get over it faster initially, but then you get the rebound symptoms. So just something to be aware of, and something to maybe talk to your doctor about if in fact you do get prescribed that because you are positive for COVID.
Yeah, nothing's perfect in this testing around here anyway. It's a shame. So, okay. You also may have noticed that the front desk is now using visitor badges to make sure that the people coming in have been checked into the front desk, and they'll be wearing a visitor badge, and you keep that on so they know that you have been checked in. So it's one thing if the resident doesn't wear his badge, but the visitor better be wearing that little sticky badge.
And Bob, the reason for that is we're still under this emergency order that we do have to screen every resident, every visitor, every staff member upon enter or when they come into the community, and we have to log it. So until that order is rescinded, we are required by Department of Social Services to do a temperature check, a temperature screening on everyone who comes into this building or who has access to our residents.
Yeah, it's. I guess we live in this little bubble, and everyone's protecting us from getting things, and it's worked very well. So we should appreciate that, even though it's inconvenient for our visitors. It's a good safety measure for us, and it's protected us very well. So we can grump and gripe about it, but it's doing us well. Let's see. they're going to update the continental breakfast on June 1st and adding bagels and English muffins to the breakfast, and have a toaster there so you can toast them too. You won't have to take them home and put them over the fire or something. So that's about the highlights that I saw on the memo. And Debbie, you have anything else you want to comment on?
Obviously a reminder, if you refer a friend, you'll receive $5,000 credit to your rent if they move in. We did have a new move-in. She's very lovely, Joan Sorge. So be sure to say hello to her in apartment 149. She's still getting situated, but she says she hasn't really met anybody and she'd like to. And of course, this weekend is Memorial Day. So on Monday, Judy has South Coast Brass Entertainment in the Bistro Courtyard at 2:45. And of course, a Memorial Day barbecue. And then don't forget, Resident Council is coming up on June 6th at 1 o'clock in the PAC. So hopefully you'll all join for that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to get into Memorial Day a lot more because there's a lot to talk about there. One of the things, we're going to participate in a program called Taps Across America. And CBS is making a marking Memorial Day with this Taps by inviting all musicians of all abilities and ages across the country to honor the fallen soldiers by playing taps as a national moment of remembrance at 3 o'clock local time. Now that's when we're going to have the South Coast Brass here. So Judy sort of arranged it to have them come a little bit early and play taps as we can participate in that.
Hi, Carrie. How are you?
Yeah. Now, they said if you can record it on your phone, they'll take selected recordings and put them on the CBS News, Evening News with Nora O'Donnell. So if you do the recording, hold the camera horizontally, and then if you're not recording and you're listening to people play taps, you should be standing, facing the music, and place your hand over your heart. That's the conventional thing. So that'll all be in the Bistro Courtyard. So look forward to that. And let's see, the other one, of course, we had Memorial Day dinner, and I guess Judy mentioned something about a family fun from 1 to 3 in the Serenity Garden. I don't know what that's all about. And then she's going to have a bingo also at 1:30. So Memorial Day is going to be a busy day. And of course, coming up next Thursday, I'm sure I won't have to say this twice because everybody in the Red Chair Lounge in the morning, 7:30 to 8:30, National Donut Day.
But you're missing Lou.
We'll see if people
You're
get up for that
missing
one. All righty. So let's see. What I was going to show. Yeah, there's family fun activities. They're going to have memory games, putting, Connect Four, cornhole, Connect Four in the putting green. And the brass will be in the Bistro Courtyard and regular dinner hours. Now, Judy also mentioned the Project Monarch Butterfly update. They have planted seeds and the butterfly garden is thriving. That's on the left side of the fountain in the Serenity Gardens. Small plants purchased, eggs are isolated. Once we have the caterpillars, residents who want to be a part of the project will load a plant in a mesh enclosure. And then if you want to be a part of that, I guess you can be a foster parent to some of these guys. You can let them know. Yes, Doug.
There was recently, we just purchased 10 large milkweed plants that are rather robust and very healthy. So once they get the caterpillars, they will transfer those eggs are caterpillars to these big healthy plants that will give them probably enough food at least for their lifespan until they go into the chrysalis stage. And Judy has purchased some more of the nylon cages to protect the caterpillars. The caterpillars are very vulnerable to stings by wasps. The wasps either sting them or lay their eggs on them. And then the wasp larvae use the caterpillar as a food host, and the caterpillar dies.
Yeah. Now, are these eggs purchased or?
No. They're laid by the monarch butterflies. In fact, there were a couple of monarchs today in the Serenity Garden flying around. So there very well may be eggs on some of the plants that we have sitting out.
I see, because he said small plants are purchased and eggs isolated once we have caterpillars. So what are they purchasing? The plant just the milkweed, or?
Yes, they purchased there's a nursery in San Juan Capistrano that is a nursery only for native plants. And they are a very large source for the milkweed plants for people who want to do monarch butterflies.
So the monarchs come here on their own, and then they lay the eggs and all that sort of
Lay
stuff.
the eggs, and we start the process from there. Yes.
Okay, so we should be trying to wave down the monarchs. Hey, come on this way. We got the milkweed for you, right?
Well, the weather's been so variable, and we've had such cool weather. The monarchs really haven't proliferated like they did last year.
Yeah.
And so we think now that the weather is warmer, and hopefully it'll stay a little warmer consistently, we think that probably is going to be, more favorable for them to go ahead and lay eggs.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Some more news. We had in the paper they had an announcement that the birth rate across the United States increased 1% this past year, the first time in 6 years since 2014. And I guess you might say that some folks took advantage of being on lockdown together. So.
Okay, Bob.
Well, whatever. And I don't know if you've seen the news on this, but there's been a lot of news about Anaheim Stadium recently in the local papers, and they actually made all the way to the New York Times. There's a big land development deal that a bunch of greedy politicians were arranging by going to sell the stadium to the Angels owner. And that all got canceled because the FBI started discovering all kinds of fraud and collusion there. And it caused the mayor of Anaheim to resign. The previous president of the Chamber of Commerce is under indictment. I think he'll be arrested. And there's another political person in I guess part of the Democratic Party that got called up by the FBI to find out what's going on. The problem was the mayor was trying to push a deal through to get the stadium sold, and as part of the deal, he was going to get $1 million donated to his election campaign. And I guess I've never been to one of these city council meetings, but apparently the city council was sort of letting just a few people run these deals, and they weren't really paying attention to what the requests were coming from the residents and so forth. And the few people that were doing this were going off site to some ski resort, I think it was, or some vacation resort. And some executive from Disney was involved because they own the property up there. So now Disney's getting dragged into this thing too. So it's amazing how all this stuff, bubbled up. And they had a meeting last Tuesday and some 60 residents came from out through the community, and they showed up and started sounding off. Now I know why nobody pays attention to me, because you guys were all in cahoots with each other. You're not paying attention to us. And so we'll see what happens the next. And apparently, the city council canceled the sale. So if the sale had gone on, we'd probably have no parking lot and a bunch of condos outside of the stadium. So that's I think so. Things will change. I guess the state attorney general also had placed a hold on that because he had heard from the FBI about that kind of stuff. So we had a little bit of excitement in our backyard here, and it says, "Well, I'm glad Walnut Village doesn't get into these political games." But yeah,
What's going to happen to the Angels?
well,
Are the Angels going to stay, or are they going to?
well, the sale is off, so Art Marino is not going to get the money, so he may as well stay there, I guess. And I guess I don't know the arrangement between the Angels and the city, but I guess they have to pay for the stadium to use it or whatever. So, they didn't really get into any of that part of it, so they were just happy to talk about all this greed and corruption and so forth. So the other story I can't ignore, although it's kind of hard to talk about, is all the mass shootings that would happen in the last few days, a few weeks and months, and a terrible situation in Texas where 21 people were killed, 19 kids, and two teachers who actually tried to stop and got in front of the kids to protect them, and they got shot, and that was part of the problem. And I says, well, see, I'm a easy sort of going guy, and I says, what is it gun control we need, or is it somehow we can teach people to deal with their anger and violence and hate, something like that, so when they get into these bad moods, they don't pick up a gun and try to go do some damage. And the problem with the gun control is always it's a label that people place on this is our solution. A lot of people don't even know what gun control is, and they just say, "Oh, gun control. That means you're going to take my guns away from me," and therefore, then they're going to push back and says, "Oh, we don't want that." I was talking to my son today, who owns guns, and he's got them in a locker and all that. And he says he's for gun control. And I says, well, what really is it? And I says, well, it's simple. There's a waiting period of some 10 days before you can buy a gun, but you can't get it for 10 days. They do background checks to make sure you're a real person and that you have an address and you do all these kinds of things and you don't have any felonies. And so with these simple little checks, they can prevent and say, you can't go to a gun show and buy a gun and come home with it. It's that thing. They got to make sure who you are before you get a gun. Of course, it's not going to stop the illegal trafficking of guns or ghost guns and all that other stuff, because you can't stop all the crime. But maybe you can stop some of it, especially if you are full of hate and anger, and you says, I'm going to go get a gun and shoot that guy, and hopefully you got a 10-day cooling off period before you do that. So I was reading on the web today that Bishop Vaughn, who is our local bishop, was urging a sensible gun control to do something about this problem, because we have the fear and violence and the increasing alienation due to wide-ranging causes, and it seems to be spreading. And the politicians talk about it, but then nothing seems to get done. Actually, California has better gun control than most of the states, or many other states, because we do have the waiting periods and all that kind of the checks and so forth. A lot of them don't. Pope Francis recently said it's time to say enough to the indiscriminate trafficking of guns. Let's all work to ensure that such tragedies never happen again. Well, yeah, it's nice to say that, but how do you do that? And of course, I don't have any ideas, but it's a sad situation. And
It is, but Bob, and I hope I'm not treading into murky water, but I do feel that the high capacity assault style, weapons with the huge capacity for multiple hundreds of bullets doesn't allow, that's what causes the mass casualty, right? If somebody was shooting and they run out after 6, they have to reload. That gives somebody a chance to either run or attack the attacker. So and I don't know how you all feel, but I don't know why we need assault rifles in this society.
I feel somewhat the same, but although it's a matter of great, as soon as you put up a restriction, they'll find a loophole around it. And there's other places where you can convert a simple pistol into a rapid fire gun with the simple conversions. So it's hard to say what's going on there. Doug?
I think this is a multifaceted problem, Bob.
Oh, true.
I grew up with guns in my home as a child. I hunted big game with my father. I hunted birds, and the responsible use of a weapon was very, very important. Then later, for about a year, I had to carry a weapon every day that I worked in Vietnam. Yeah. And Debbie was entirely right. Many of these crimes are committed with weapons that were designed for warfare. And I may be in a minority, but in my mind, I don't see any place for an assault weapon in a civilian environment. If you want to go out and hunt, you can go out and hunt. An AR-15 is not a good hunting rifle. If you want to become a better marksman, there's a lot better weapons to go out and improve your skill as a marksman with other types of weapons. Ghost guns are another problem. You can buy pieces of guns and put it together, and now you've got a gun that has no serial numbers and is not tracked in any way. I think that a lot of these loopholes have to be closed, and we can't ignore the statistics. Statistics are saying that these kinds of killings have escalated over the past 20 years significantly in our population. And before there was the ability to buy an assault rifle, a kid now 18 years old can go in and buy an assault rifle, and he can't go into a bar and buy a beer. In my mind, I think there's something terribly wrong with some of these things. And the responsible use of a weapon, he went in and bought those guns and did not have to take any kind of safety training or how to use that weapon properly. And in my mind, and you were in the military as well, Bob, any weapon that you used, you had to be schooled and trained and how to use that properly and the proper way to use it and the mentality and the policy that goes along with the proper use of that weapon. And I think that there is a lot of work to be done, and we can still, I'm not against people having guns at all. I grew up with that. I had guns of my own before I moved to Walnut Village. And a lot of it is the proper use and the responsibility that goes along with the use of a weapon.
Yeah, that's true. Go ahead, Don.
I don't know how many people were killed by automobiles last year in this country, but I got to figure that there's more than were shot, and that I don't see anybody out in an effort to abandon or to do away with automobiles. So I think Doug is right. It's not the weapon or the instrument itself, it's the nut who holds the wheel or the goofball who pulls the trigger. It's a matter of educating and getting our society to understand what humanity is all about. Some people in an automobile invoke road rage. Well, then some of those people who do road rage also carry weapons. But it's neither the gun nor the automobile or the vehicle that causes the death. It's the result of being shot or hit by a car. but it's not the instrument itself. We need to condition our mentality to say we are human beings. We're not out there to take shots at everybody or anybody.
Yeah.
And I agree that when we were in the military, I had to take an M1 rifle apart, put it back together, take it apart, put it back together until I could do it blindfolded or in the dark. I have a great respect for an M1 rifle because I have seen what it can do. There are still people who have mental problems. It's not the weapon, it's not the automobile, it's the person holding it. We got to get back to our people understanding what life is all about and how we should respect each other's life.
Yeah.
I don't want to get rid of my car. I like it.
No, I agree with everything that's been said. And I feel there should be a lot more emphasis on having people who are borderline, or what they call the red flag laws, deal with their hate and anger. And it doesn't seem that the talk is anywhere close to that. So they're all just talking about, well, we're going to take away your guns. Well, that's not, that's where we end up getting very divided, and we can never get anything passed or stuck or whatever. Some states, and I'm not going to do that, and so forth. So they really haven't taken on the challenge and say, let's try to solve this problem. We just
Judy? Yeah.
Oh, Judy, yeah.
Yeah. A woman on a TV broadcast I was watching, who was a psychologist for the FBI, said that they've been studying this issue very closely. And what they're finding is that the young men who are shooters are practically always very depressed. And this is a form of suicide. They will shoot a lot of people and then kill themselves. And so they're concerned about having school teachers and students be on the lookout for the kinds of messages that most all of them will tell somebody ahead of time, that they plan to hurt somebody, they plan to shoot somebody. And if we had red flag laws and people would respond with them, they might be diverted if you could deal with the depression. So that's one aspect of it. I'm certainly in favor of registrations and anything we can do to get rid of assault rifles.
Yeah, those are all good points. Yeah. So I don't know where we can go. We can't really go for this, but it's hard to deal with this kind of news. It makes us depressed, and you start reading all the stories about how these kids are lost, and how their families grieving for them and everything else. They're very, very sad stories, and tough to go through, but it's something we have to deal with. All righty. I'm going to move on. Okay, Don. Yeah, one more. Yeah.
No, I think you're on the right track. I was going to suggest we move on.
Yeah.
Because this subject is something we can't handle here. I'm more concerned about what's going on at Walden Village today.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I have an announcement.
Okay, go ahead.
We're going to, the library is going to put on we're going to try to put on a very basic internet class for people interested. We have to find the interested people first. The hope is that we will have enough people who will want to take it. It's just very simple, a very simple introduction on June 29th, Wednesday, June 29th at 1 p.m. It probably wouldn't last more than an hour or so. And so you'll maybe see documentation go out, but mainly we're going to put out a survey to see if we can find people who are willing to say they're interested in signing up for it. And so people like you, Bob, who have good computer skills, can say how much you've profited by it, and just how the internet is a whole new world to people who haven't used it.
Well, it's a whole new way of doing business. Joyce, let's welcome Joyce Kessler. This is her first time on the Zoom with us. Of course, the first time I sent her the invite too. So
I would have come sooner, but I wasn't invited. Michelle, I have a question for you.
I'm sorry, Joyce, I can't hear you.
you need to get closer to your mic.
No, it's your volume is too low on your computer. Turn it up.
I'm on a computer that there's something wrong with my sound.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, we'll listen. Be quiet and listen.
Yeah.
Will you also be teaching specific programs like numbers or Excel?
Well, I can teach you Excel myself, and I use Excel. It's the keystone of what I do as a librarian in all the signs I make and all the forms I make and the statistics I keep and things like that. So I'd be more than happy to help you with that.
I think just getting started with a internet awareness program would be great. But I think you probably need to have a survey and develop a syllabus of all the kinds of things people really want to hear. Whether it's how to use email.
Let's hear what Joyce has to say, though. Joyce, do you have a Mac or do you have a computer?
I have 3, and they're all Macs.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, actually, I use a PC, and it's because it has a better version of Excel on it, but I'm happy to work with you. And I use other people's numbers documents all the time. So maybe we can talk about it sometime.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But using a computer, there's so many tools and so many environments and so many pieces of equipment to choose from. But then there's a lot of commonality too. So we need to figure out how to deal with getting the most information out to the people who need it without having to drag them through things they don't really need to listen to. Or, I don't want to listen to a program of how to use Word, because I barely use Word. I mean, I just use a text edit program.
If an introductory program, if it were introductory, all I'd be doing is visiting different websites and seeing what's out there. So it's nothing like that. It's an internet class. It's not a Microsoft Office class.
Yeah. Okay. All righty. I'd like to thank Gloria Scheffler. Is she still there?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, there she is, right next to me. I was asking before about how we can get some more information for our primary to pick the candidates we want to vote for, because that's coming up in 2 weeks. And she sent me a memo from the Orange County Bar Association that looks at the different candidates for the Superior Court judges. And I'm going to show you. It was a nice list of all the folks, but of course I didn't like to leave it the way she sent it to me. I had to mess around with it. So I put it in Excel. Of all things, I put it in Excel. Okay. And I'm going to share it because now it's sorted. Before it was just sorted, I sort of a random sort. I said, well, you really want to know for a given courtroom who are the candidates and then what the qualifications are. So this is what I ended up doing. Now see, so this is sorted by the courtrooms, okay?
Okay.
And then you say, well, in courtroom number 5, we have 3 qualified people.
Wow.
So you can choose from those 3, okay? In courtroom number 30, we have 2 well-qualified and 1 not qualified.
Okay.
And I highlighted the not qualified. Whoops, I messed up here in this one. I should have yellowed out that one. But the whole idea is by organizing it that way, it makes it a lot easier to choose from. And if anyone wants this, I'll make it available. I'll put it up. I will put it up on the Village News.
Oh, okay, then we'll have to go look at it.
Then you can look at it when you're ready for it. But thank you, Gloria. I think I reorganized it just so I make it easier to
That's fine.
places. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Fine.
I'll post it on the Village News.
It's the one, it's
Okay.
from Dixon Library.
Huh. Nixon.
The library, it's from.
Mine was by, mine was listed alphabetically.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
it doesn't really help.
Yeah.
Okay,
To Wednesday.
Who's talking?
I'm trying to figure out who's talking.
Terry's on the phone.
Well, I'm gonna mute him then. Okay. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about, Memorial Day is, it seems that it's changed. When I was a kid, Memorial Day was a real special time, as opposed to today when it's just it's a remembrance of reflecting on those who served and passed in the services. But I guess to a lot of people, it's just a day to go out and party and go on a picnic or go on a trip. So I'm going to ask, and I'll first give you my opinion. When I was a kid, Memorial Day was a very special time. First of all, it was 2 or 3 days before the last day of school. So a lot of folks, that was the time they were going to go on their summer vacations down to the Cape Cod or something like that. And we were trying to say, well, what are you going to skip the last 2 or 3 days of school? It says, who cares, because they're not going to do anything anyhow. So Memorial Day was really the big first day of summer vacation. See, who was, okay, that was Debbie, okay. The other thing was we had parades. We have, this is a little town in Massachusetts where the celebration was run by the VFW, the Veterans of Foreign Wars. And you had one of these little caps you wear, and that made you an official veteran. And they had a big hall uptown, and they had regular meetings, and just like a regular men's society or something like that. But we would have a parade that would end up at the VFW hall and go in, and then we get these free ice creams, these little Hootsie ice creams with a little wooden stick. And yeah, that'd be a great thing to eat. Now, the parade was really something special because we had to, in order to be in the parade, we had to decorate our bikes. So this is, I went back to try to figure out something as close as I could about decorating a bike. And this is a picture of,
There we go.
it's probably, I looked very similar to that kind of kid, but I didn't use the flags so much as I decorated the wheels using the crepe streamers, the red, white, and crepe streamers, and you went in and out of the spokes.
Yeah.
And you did this. Say, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And they had all these different variations of it.
Wow.
This is another crazy one here. And that was such a big thing. And then we had bicycle decorating contests, and you won a prize for that. I can't remember what the prizes were, but that was another honor to be achieved in these times. And it was so much fun. And that was the biggest thing about Memorial Day. Now, the parade we had started in the center of the town, and then went down to the cemetery, and then we paraded around the cemetery, and they paid taps down there, and we came back. So for us little kids, we had bikes. We could make the parade. A lot of people, they didn't. It was too far to walk. So it was a really nice time, and a lot of memories of that. Who can say how they celebrated Memorial Day as a kid? Doug?
One of the big aspects of Memorial Day when I was growing up was that everybody was given poppies. And as a result of the poem that was written after the First World War in Flanders Field, the poppies became a real symbol of honoring the veterans, especially after the First World War and from there forward. And I don't know how it was in everybody else's town, but the VFW made available all these little paper poppies that they gave to everybody, and you could put them on your lapel.
Right. I remember the poppies, but we had to pay for them. It was just some kind of a donation. And we didn't have $1 to pay for a paper poppy, so that wasn't, but I guess that was the other time. Yes, but the poppies, yeah. Poppies existed for many years after that, too. I'm not sure if they're still around these days or not. So,
Yes, they are.
okay.
I think the best memory I have of Memorial Day and July 4th in the Massachusetts area was that you could be driving down a road and suddenly you'd come upon a fife and drum corps playing, walking down the street, and it'd just be in the middle of nothing. And it was just an amazing thing to see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
Or anything about it.
Well, I can say that the city of Lakewood always celebrates, and it's the VFW that puts it on. And our Sweet Adelines will be singing for them for about the 4th time this year.
Ah. Okay. Very good. Okay. Well,
Don?
yes, Don. Yes, go ahead.
I would like to introduce you to my local poppy. These are these are prepared by, for me, the American Legion.
Yeah.
And the proceeds of the poppy sales go to rehabilitation efforts for our wounded and our disabled warriors. But I just want to say one thing that I believe is that our schools have stopped teaching things that make parades possible, such as music lessons in high school.
Yes.
Right.
I came from Syracuse, New York, which is a relatively big city at that time because it was over 100,000 people. But every school had a band. Every school had a music teacher who would help you play whatever instrument you were able to handle. Every school had somebody who would teach you about civics, why we flew a flag in our classroom, what Memorial Day represented in terms of the death of our soldiers.
Yeah.
I'm afraid we don't have, or I'm not afraid. We don't have that kind of stuff anymore. I don't know that any school in Anaheim has a major music program unless there's the booster club of some type in that school who pushes them. And oftentimes that's the result of a parent or a guardian being a band player. I can't imagine being in a city where the American Legion didn't have a band, where the VFW didn't have a band, where the Elks Lodge didn't have a band, where everybody wanted to get into the darn parade.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Get the school board back into the focus of having an opportunity to give these kids something to do.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna happen. So you gotta get behind your school board. Say, bring back my art teacher, bring back my woodworking teacher, bring back my music teacher, bring back my typing teacher. That's my soapbox for the day.
Yeah, well, I was in the band and I marched in many parades. I forgot about that. I was talking about my bicycles, but later I was marching in the band all the time, playing a clarinet or a sax, and many parades. It teaches a lot of discipline, and you get a lot of social interaction and friendship out of that, and also the choirs and everything else that the schools have put on too. So music was a big part of my life as a kid. Yeah. Go ahead, Jan.
Yes, I remember marching in those Memorial Day parades. I was a drum major in high school, and that was exciting to do that. And we had poppies. My grandparents were part of the Legion, and we always had poppies to wear on Memorial Day. And then we would march and put flowers on the graves at the cemeteries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. was, it was something from my childhood that I really remember.
Yes, yes. Well, a chance to remember them. Yes, Doug?
I think what we're talking about here too is an unconscious instruction in patriotism and civility. And I think Don, it was very right in what he said that outside of the patriotism aspect, we're also losing our ability to be civil to one another. And we're losing the sense of this patriotism that we once saw in this country. And I think that's been diluted to the point now, whether it's almost kind of a ho-hum deal.
Yeah, our culture has sort of definitely changed in the last 50 years for sure. And it's hard to say, you know, when we get up and start saying America and be proud of it and all that, it's just, you know, who you following or what are you drinking? When we were in the chorale and we're rehearsing these patriotic songs, I start thinking about it as, are these out of date? Because you don't hear them anymore, you know, that kind of stuff. And it's a matter of, well, who's managing our lives with our culture and our, it's not the school board, it's not everything else. Judy.
If you look at the arc of history and the sociology of what's going on, we had an enemy that we could all identify during World War II, that we could all definitely point ourselves in the same direction. There was no question about we had to win that war. And once we lost that enemy, there was a little bit of concern about communists sneaking in. But when we lost that and the Soviet Union went down, we lost the focus. And I think that what we're seeing now is the lack of focus. We don't have a single enemy that we can all agree on.
No, that's true.
You don't really need an enemy.
Well, we're fighting each other. I mean, it's simple as that. It's a little bit stronger than just not having an enemy to.
Well, we've divided into different camps, and
it's like Billy the Kid versus Billy the Kid, though, on the streets. I mean, that's the atmosphere that's beginning to become commonplace, because these mass shootings of children have been around in this country for over 10 years. And nobody's done anything about it. We still have the same problem in Congress. Nothing has changed.
Yeah,
that's right. Nothing has changed.
Well, let's move on. This is getting too serious.
True. Right, it is too serious. We can't do anything about it either.
So let me teach you a little bit about love, okay? Here's some love that you cannot ignore. And we learn it from some little videos like this from animals.
When I saw you standing there, about fell out my chair. And when you moved your mouth to speak,
Note the tail wagging. Oh my gosh.
A sloth.
you tried so not to show. Something in my soul just cried. I see the one in your blue eyes. Baby,
Workers.
I love you to want me the way that I want you, the way that it should be. Baby, you love me to want you the way that I want you. If you only let it be. You told yourself years ago
I don't know what that means.
you'd never let your feelings
These are not kittens.
The obligation that you made
Oh my.
for the title that they gave. Baby, I'd love you to want me the way that I want you, the way that it should be. Baby, you love me to want you the way that I want to. If you only let it be.
It's funny.
Time for me to know
Duck.
what you tried so not to show. There's something in my soul just cried. I see the one in your blue eyes. Baby, I'd love you to want me the way that I want you, the way that it should be. Baby.
How about that?
What a collection.
So if we don't know how to love each, just go watch the animals. They know how to do it themselves. Oh, I forgot to tell you about the. This is I think I was talking about the new gym equipment. Yeah, I asked Ryan to give me a little report on it, and it arrived. The gym equipment arrived Tuesday. It's an upgrade of the older equipment and resistance machines. They're made by a company called Kaiser, and all the resistance equipment is pneumatic and runs off air pressure. The old equipment was also made by Kaiser. When the installers were taking out the old equipment, they looked at the old serial numbers and confirmed the equipment was from the early 2000s, so it's over 20 years old, back when
my
Walnut
gosh.
Village was Walnut Manor.
Oh, wow.
The main difference with this equipment is its adjustability for those residents who have limitations in their range of motion. So when you're trying to get into some of these things, you couldn't put it in a good position so you could get into it easily. It had fixed starting positions, and so that range of motion had a difficult time using some of the equipment. I know when I used to use the leg press, it was really a hard thing to try to sit back, lift your legs 3 feet off the ground so you could get up there and use that leg press. I guess the new stuff is better. To be safer and easy to use, each machine has a larger display, much easier to find and see while using the equipment. Small differences with the new equipment. The frames are now black versus white, seats are wider, and one was redesigned by Kaiser to be more efficient. So I hope that's going to help. The flexibility, adaptability should make it easy to use and improvement, and helped several residents already. So has anybody had a chance to check out this equipment yet? Yeah, Judy.
I think Don did.
Judy?
I went over Thursday, I think, and it says, okay. If you've got a card and you've been keeping track of how many pounds you want to put on it, you may find that there is a change. In a couple cases, I had to go higher, but most cases I had to go a little lower. So
Okay.
you need an eraser so you can change your card and keep track of what you're doing. But the one that changed the most, I think, is the one where you sit on the seat facing the unit and you're pulling, and it spreads itself out as you're pulling it. It looks very different, and it's got some bars around it, so you look like you're stepping into a cage. But it's very easy to use. Don't be put off by it. It's
Okay.
fine. The other ones are all very, very similar to what they were.
Okay, good. Okay, Here's some observations that seniors probably have to deal with now. Like, I used to be able to do cartwheels. Now I tip over putting on my underwear.
Yep.
I told my wife she should embrace her mistakes, so she hugged me.
Oh, gee.
My wife says I only have two faults. I don't listen and something else. At my funeral, take the bouquet off my coffin and throw it into the crowd to see who's next.
Mhm.
I thought growing older would take longer. That's true. I came, I saw, I forgot what I was doing. Retraced my steps, got lost on the way back. Now I have no idea what's going on. The officer said, "Are you drinking?" I said, "You buying?" We just laughed and I laughed and I need bail money. I think the reason we are born with two hands is so we can pet two dogs at once. That's cute. Science says the universe is made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons. They forgot to mention morons. The adult version of head, shoulders, knees, and toes is wallets, glasses, keys, and phone. Yeah. A dog accepts you as the boss. A cat wants to see your resume. Yeah. Life is too short to waste time matching socks. If you see me talking to myself, just move on. I'm self-employed and we're having a staff meeting. I won't be impressed with technology until I can download food. My doctor asked if anyone in my family suffers from mental illness. I said, no, we all seem to enjoy it. I really don't mind getting old, but my body's having a major fit. Camping, where you spend a small fortune to live like a homeless person. I told my wife I wanted to be cremated. She made an appointment for me on Tuesday. I don't care who dies in a movie as long as the dog lives. The world's best antidepressant has 4 legs, a wagging tail, and comes with unconditional love. Love is how excited your dog gets when you come home. That's one reason for having pets. I've reached the age where my train of thought often leaves the station without me. And if you're happy and you know it, it's your meds. There used to be a song like that, if you're happy and you know it, it's all righty. Well, it's just about time to close up shop. Any last stories? And then I'm going to go and do the puns. Okay. No more stories. Okay, we'll just take care of this.
Judy wants to talk.
Okay, Judy. You're muted,
No,
Judy.
no, I saw Lou waving his hand and I was waving back.
Oh, hi, Lou. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
have a
wanted to
story?
say, I want to say hi to everyone. I missed you guys. It's nice to sit here and watch you.
All righty. Okay. Well, it's nice to have you aboard, Lou. Okay. All righty. Okay, here's our finale. What's another name for a cow? I'm going to put this up here.
One more?
A lawnmower.
Oh.
Wait a minute, I gotta adjust this. That's too big. Okay. Why shouldn't you trust the stairs?
They're falling.
They're
You're always
flying.
up to something.
Oh.
Yeah. Why did the baby cookie cry? Your mother was away for so long. Now this is a cute one. What did the drummer name his twin daughters?
Bang, bang.
And a 1 and a 2 and a 1.
Oh.
Why didn't the lamp sink in the water? It was too light.
Moonlight, okay.
Did you hear Did you hear that one of Santa's reindeer now works for Procter and Gamble? Comment: clean sinks. Why do baseball players have such great retirement plans? They also get paid a lot of money too, but
Slide into the base.
Something about the bases.
they want to make sure they got all the bases covered, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. You know, there's no official training for trash collectors. They just pick up things as they go along.
Yeah.
All righty, here's the last one. What did the chicken do when he saw a bucket of fried chicken? Okay, here we go. He kicked the bucket.
Oh.
Okay, then, guys. We had a very serious discussion. I wanted to try it out. I'm not sure if you enjoyed it or got too nervous, but it was fun to do something a little different today. I'd like to hear what you do like to talk about, so I can, try to include that in the program and stuff like that. So let's keep it coming, and we shall see how it goes. Have a great time.
Don't forget Dee's happy hour.
Let's go to the happy hour for D.
Oh, that's right. D happy hour tonight. That's right.
D cognac. Yes.
All righty.